Hallo Leute und willkommen zu Stanley Parable. Ihr habt das Spiel jetzt schon mal angefangen, dann ist mir aber aufgefallen, dass das Ganze hier in 4:3 aufgenommen hat und außerdem kann ich da noch meine Maus schneller machen. Was vielleicht auch ganz sinnvoll wäre. Damit beginnen wir das Spiel. So. Wir
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Gott, Alter.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Stanley was happy.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Was? Bleistifte! Geil! Ihre Kaffeetassen. Wer trinkt den Kaffee immer? Okay, so spät ist also.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Pornos also.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Egal. Egal, ich brauche keine Coworker. Oh scheiße, ihr habt den PC ausgemacht. So. Macht mal jemand den Strom aus? Oh shit. Da wollte wohl jemand mal reparieren. Wie kann man Kaffee verschütten? Mann, sowas verschüttet man nicht einfach.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ja, Brotos drehen ruhig was. Man hört vielleicht gerade Brotos im Hintergrund. Ich laufe jetzt mal den gleichen Weg, wie ich davor gelaufen bin. Da kommen wir auch irgendwann raus, aber das zeige ich euch auch noch.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Nein, man hört ihn nicht.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Brotos! Ja gut, du hörst ihn nicht. Du bist im Teamspeak und hörst mich. Du retarded.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him.
Ja, Captain,
and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ist ja cool. Das hatte ich nämlich nicht gesehen. Da bin ich nämlich immer noch dran gestanden und habe mir so gedacht, oh mein Gott. Ich hätte es auch gerne schnell aufgenommen. Es war aber leider gestretched, weil das 4:3 aufgenommen wurde. Ja, gestretched.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for
Okay, wir
long.
können durch den Knopf gucken. Das schaffe ich jeden Tag. Ich schaue zum Beispiel auch gerne durch Knöpfe oder durch Rohre. Ich gehe einfach ganz nah an Rohre ran und stecke mein Ohr rein. Mein Auge.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
Ja.
door that read Mind Control Facility.
Nein. Nein. Niemals.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Yes. Stanley would meet his violent death.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Stimmt. Ist nicht geschlossen.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Okay. Ging nur sterben. Okay, diese Stelle erinnert mich irgendwie stark an Portal. Ich habe keine Füße. Erstens. Und zweitens.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Auf Wiedersehen, du wunderschönes Leben. Was?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral
Ja.
instant, Stanley was
Wollte
obliterated
ich mir das Leben
as the machine
nehmen?
crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Mann. Warum hast du mich nicht getötet? Stanley,
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now?
Das ist unser Büro.
Do you see that Stanley was already
Ciao.
dead from the moment
Ciao.
he hit start?
Und das müsste hier der Präsentationsraum. Nein, der tut das. Der tut das. Die. Yay, wir haben alle gehört. Düb, düb, düb. Ja, dieses Ending ist immer noch ein bisschen... Ich weiß nicht, ob das ein Ending ist, aber es ist confusing. Was nennt man heute so? Confusing. 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 Alien Base. Awesome. Sehe ich ein. Stanley. Oder verwirrend. Ja, verwirrend. Verwirrend, Bitch. Du hast recht, Captain. Bitch. Doppelpunkt 3. Du bist auch so ein Doppelpunkt 3, Captain. Fühl dich geehrt als Doppelpunkt 3. In der Tat. Ich hoffe, man sieht das Steam-Overlay nicht. Man doch bist du eine Bitch, Captain. Okay. Rot! 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 Okay, dann nicht. Ja, also ich war da lang gelaufen. Exit lang. Ja, Exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Ja, das ist Blind Let's Play. Und das andere konnte ich nicht lesen, weil ich mache das jetzt nicht groß, das Steam Overlay, Captain. Nein, das sehe ich jetzt nicht ein. Okay, ich habe den Knopf gedrückt.
Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path.
Push quit.
Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Ja. Was? Was? Wofür? Wofür soll ich mir keine Zeit lassen? Oder wofür soll ich mir Zeit lassen? Ich glaube, wir sind tot. Das finde ich jetzt nicht so pralle. Oh. Und ich dachte, ich finde das Spiel Töfte und dann stirbt man. Ja, Captain, ich weiß nicht, ob das ein Ending ist. Es ist auf jeden Fall Black Screen. Ist das Ending? Ich wurde eingequetscht. Ist das? Kann das? Okay. Yay, wir haben ein Ending geschafft. Und damit würde ich sagen, ich bin raus. Hier. Ich muss erstmal und so. Ja. Das ist bisschen rafti. Ja. Und damit ging es jetzt auch. Auf Wiedersehen. Haftbefehl.